Welcome to our channel. Today, we are delving into a haunting story that shook Phoenix, Arizona to its core. Against the backdrop of this bustling city, we will unfold the tragic tale of Michelle Anglin, a promising young real estate agent whose life was abruptly and violently cut short. Through this video, we aim to shed light on the events of February 9th, 1996, a day that changed everything for Michelle and her loved ones. The story of Michelle Anglin is not just about a crime, it's a stark reminder of the dangers that can lurk in everyday situations, especially for those who work alone in isolated environments. On February 9th, 1996, Michelle Anglin disappeared while showing houses to a potential buyer, leading to a frantic search and a heart-wrenching discovery. In this video, we will explore the critical questions. What happened to Michelle? Who was responsible for her death? And what were the broader consequences of this tragic event? Let's dive into the details of this case, piece by piece. Michelle Lee Cohen was born on November 27, 1973, in Fountain Valley, California. From an early age, Michelle exuded warmth and kindness, traits that would define her throughout her life. Her parents, Peggy Cohen McCall and her stepfather Larry McCall, provided a nurturing environment filled with love and support. The family, including Michelle's two older sisters, Cindy and Christina, shared a close bond that was evident in their everyday interactions. When Michelle was still a young girl, the family decided to relocate to Arizona. This move marked a significant chapter in Michelle's life. Settling into their new home, the Cohen McCall family quickly adapted to their surroundings. Arizona, with its warm climate and burgeoning opportunities, became the backdrop for Michelle's formative years. Growing up, Michelle was known for her outgoing personality and her ability to connect with people. She excelled in school, making friends easily and participating in various activities. Her family's support played a crucial role in her development, instilling in her a strong sense of confidence and ambition. Michelle's early life in Arizona was filled with memorable moments, from family gatherings to school events, each contributing to the person she was becoming. In her early 20s, Michelle met Hudson Anglin, a meeting that would change her life forever. Hudson and Michelle's relationship blossomed quickly, rooted in mutual respect, love, and shared dreams for the future. Hudson, captivated by Michelle's charm and warmth, found in her a partner who complemented him perfectly. Their relationship was the kind that seemed destined, with both families seeing the genuine connection they shared. By late 1995, after years of dating, Hudson proposed to Michelle. Their engagement was a joyous occasion, celebrated by their families and friends. Michelle and Hudson's wedding, a beautiful ceremony held in the presence of loved ones, symbolized the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. The couple was beaming with happiness, their eyes set on a future filled with promise and adventure. Following their wedding, Michelle and Hudson started planning their life together. They were excited about their upcoming honeymoon, eager to explore new places and create lasting memories. Beyond their immediate plans, they talked about starting a family, dreaming of a home filled with laughter and the pitter-patter of little feet. Their life together, though just beginning, was full of hope and love. Tragically, these dreams would never come to fruition. The ordinary happiness and normalcy that marked Michelle and Hudson's life would be shattered in the most unimaginable way. However, until that fateful day, Michelle lived a life full of love and joy, surrounded by family and friends who cherished her dearly. The morning of February 9th, 1996, started like any other day for Michelle Anglin. As a dedicated real estate agent in Phoenix, Arizona, Michelle had a packed schedule, filled with client meetings and property showings. Known for her professionalism and punctuality, she began her day early, preparing to show several houses to a potential buyer later that afternoon. Michelle left her home, kissed her husband Hudson goodbye, and headed to her office. Her family members, who were used to staying in regular contact with her, noted nothing unusual in their brief interactions that morning. Michelle's work as a realtor often required her to be on the move, but she always ensured her family could reach her via her pager or work phone. By early afternoon, Michelle was gearing up for her meeting with a potential buyer. She was scheduled to show 3 model homes located conveniently close to her office. Michelle's meticulous nature meant she had all the necessary paperwork and information ready for her client. However, as the day progressed, something out of the ordinary began to unfold. Around the time Michelle was supposed to meet the potential buyer, her family members tried to get in touch with her. Calls and pages went unanswered, which was highly unusual for Michelle. Her mother, Peggy, and sisters, Cindy and Christina, grew increasingly anxious. Michelle was always diligent about keeping them informed, especially when meeting new clients. As minutes turned into hours with no response, their concern deepened. By late afternoon, the sense of unease among Michelle's family was palpable. They knew something was wrong. Peggy and Cindy made repeated attempts to reach Michelle, hoping each time for an answer that never came. The silence was deafening, amplifying their worst fears. Cindy, particularly worried, decided to take action. Her boyfriend at the time, who worked for the Phoenix Police Department, was asked to perform a welfare check at Michelle's office. He arrived at the real estate office to find Michelle's car parked outside, a sign that she might be inside. However, upon closer inspection, he found nothing immediately suspicious about the vehicle itself. Entering the office, Cindy's boyfriend was met with an eerie scene. The lights were still on, and soft music played in the background, giving the impression that Michelle had just stepped out for a moment. But the office was empty. On the table, he found Michelle's purse and pager, items she would never leave behind voluntarily. The unlocked office, with her personal belongings left unattended, suggested something was amiss. The discovery of Michelle's purse and pager heightened the family's alarm. It was completely out of character for Michelle to leave without these essentials, especially during a workday. The sense of foreboding grew stronger, leading the family to make a critical decision. That evening, they officially reported Michelle as missing to the police, setting off a chain of events that would unravel the tragic mystery surrounding her disappearance. The initial investigation began with a search of the 3 model homes Michelle was scheduled to show. Officers meticulously combed through each property, hoping to find any sign of her. The preliminary search yielded some clues, including 3 pink buttons found in the master closet of one of the homes and 2 candles knocked over in the master bathroom. These small details suggested a struggle, but there was no sign of Michelle. As the search intensified, the fear for Michelle's safety became more acute. Cindy's boyfriend, along with the officers, worked tirelessly to piece together the puzzle of Michelle's last known activities. The family, gripped by anxiety and fear, could only wait and hope for any information that would lead them to Michelle. Their worst fears were soon to be confirmed, turning their world upside down. As the sun set on February 9, 1996, the Phoenix Police Department sprang into action following the official missing persons report filed by Michelle Anglin's family. Officers immediately began a preliminary search of the 3 model homes Michelle was scheduled to show that afternoon. These homes, located just a short distance from her office, were their first points of interest. The initial walkthrough of the first 2 homes revealed nothing out of the ordinary, but the 3rd home held chilling clues. In the master closet on the 2nd floor, officers found 3 pink buttons scattered on the floor. Nearby, in the master bathroom, 2 candles had been knocked over, one lying in each sink. These details suggested a struggle had taken place. However, the most harrowing discovery was yet to come. As officers continued their thorough search, they made a tragic find. Under the bed in the master bedroom lay the lifeless, twisted body of Michelle Anglin. She was partially disrobed, and her clothes were knotted and intertwined, indicating a violent struggle. The scene was one of horror and heartbreak, confirming the family's worst fears. Michelle's body was quickly transported for autopsy, and the police secured the area to conduct a more detailed investigation. The forensic team meticulously analyzed the crime scene, uncovering critical pieces of evidence that painted a grim picture of Michelle's final moments. In the master closet where the buttons were found, traces of seminal fluid were discovered, providing a crucial clue about the attacker. The master bathroom and bedroom revealed more signs of a fierce struggle: broken ceramic candlesticks and scattered paint and plaster chips. The autopsy results further confirmed the violent nature of the crime. Michelle had sustained numerous abrasions and bruises across her body, with significant injuries to her hands and wrists, indicating she had fought desperately to defend herself. The cause of death was asphyxiation, evidenced by 3 bruises on the left side of her neck and 1 on the right. The forensic expert concluded that Michelle had resisted an attempt to undress her, and in the ensuing struggle, her attacker had strangled her. The location of the buttons and seminal fluid in the master closet, along with the broken candlesticks in the master bathroom, suggested that the struggle had started in the closet and spilled into the bathroom before ending in the bedroom. The paint and plaster chips found under the bed and in the bathroom corroborated this violent sequence of events. The police also found Michelle's torn and knotted clothes under the bed, along with more paint and ceramic fragments, indicating that the final, fatal struggle had occurred there. Michelle's defensive injuries, combined with the forensic evidence, provided a clear narrative of the events leading up to her death. A calculated, brutal attack by someone who had lured her to the house under false pretenses. With the forensic analysis complete, the police had a clearer understanding of the crime, but still faced the daunting task of identifying the perpetrator. The evidence pointed to a deliberate and premeditated attack, but who could have done such a thing? The search for answers was just beginning, and the police were determined to bring Michelle's killer to justice. In the immediate aftermath of discovering Michelle Anglin's body, the police's first line of inquiry was her husband, Hudson Anglin. As is standard in such investigations, the spouse is often scrutinized due to the statistical likelihood of domestic involvement in such crimes. Hudson was deeply shocked by Michelle's death, and his grief appeared genuine. During questioning, Hudson provided a detailed account of his whereabouts on the day of Michelle's disappearance. He had spent the afternoon visiting various car dealerships, searching for a family car, as he and Michelle had planned to start a family soon. The police verified Hudson's alibi by cross-referencing his statements with records and testimonies from dealership employees. They confirmed that Hudson had indeed been at the car dealerships during the critical time frame. Furthermore, Hudson's emotional state during questioning was consistent with someone experiencing profound loss, not guilt. After thorough investigation and corroboration of his alibi, the police officially cleared Hudson of any suspicion. The focus of the investigation then shifted to finding other potential suspects who could have harmed Michelle. With Hudson cleared, the police turned to the next logical step: canvassing the area and gathering witness accounts. Several individuals came forward with reports of a suspicious man seen in the vicinity of the model homes on February 9th. Most notably, witnesses described a black, full-size older model Chevrolet pickup truck with California license plates parked near the scene. This information provided the police with a crucial lead. The investigation gained significant momentum with the testimony of Kim Ramos, a young real estate sales associate working in a nearby subdivision. On the same day Michelle was last seen, Kim had interacted with a potential buyer who drove a black Chevrolet pickup truck. The client, who introduced himself as James Adams, had exhibited odd behavior. Despite his apparent interest in a high-value property, his modest vehicle and peculiar questions about the house had raised Kim's suspicions. Crucially, Kim had the foresight to ask the potential buyer to fill out a guest registration card. James Adams had complied, providing his home address and phone number. When the police visited the address listed on the registration card, they found the black Chevrolet pickup truck parked outside. The owner was identified as 32-year-old James Van Adams. Kim Ramos positively identified the truck and provided further details about her unsettling interaction with Adams. She noted how close he had stood to her and how he had touched her hand multiple times, making her feel uneasy. These behaviors matched the profile of someone who might be capable of the crime committed against Michelle. The police now had a tangible suspect and began to delve deeper into James Van Adams' background and activities, hoping to find more evidence that would connect him to Michelle Anglin's tragic death. James Van Adams emerged as a prime suspect following witness accounts and key leads. Adams, a 32-year-old man with a troubling past, had a previous conviction in California for a crime committed in 1990. This involved an attack on Melissa Cunningham, a young real estate agent. Adams had used a similar modus operandi. He had posed as a potential buyer, lured Melissa into an isolated model home, and attacked her. Fortunately, Melissa managed to escape, and Adams was convicted, serving only 2 years in prison for the assault. The Phoenix Police's investigation into Adams revealed his suspicious behavior and history of preying on female real estate agents. Witnesses identified him as the man seen near the model homes on the day of Michelle Anglin's disappearance. Most notably, Kim Ramos had interacted with Adams on the same day Michelle was last seen alive. Her detailed description of Adams, combined with the information on the guest registration card he filled out, provided the police with a critical lead. When police arrived at Adams's residence, they found an old black Chevrolet pickup truck with California license plates, matching the description given by witnesses. Adams was not home, but the truck was enough to link him to the scene. Further investigation revealed that Adams had left work early on February 9th, claiming car troubles. His employer and colleagues noted that when he returned, he had visible injuries on his face, which were not present the day before. James Van Adams was arrested and taken in for questioning. During the interrogation, Adams was visibly nervous and refused to cooperate. He had noticeable injuries, including a black eye and facial bruises, which he claimed were the result of working on his pickup truck. However, these injuries were consistent with a struggle, and investigators suspected they were inflicted by Michelle during her desperate fight for survival. Police collected DNA samples, blood, and hair from Adams. Despite initial DNA testing excluding him as a contributor, retesting and additional analysis confirmed his involvement. The seminal fluid found at the crime scene matched Adams's DNA, strengthening the case against him. Adams's trial began on July 1st, 1997. The prosecution presented a robust case, including DNA evidence and testimonies from key witnesses. Kim Ramos testified about her eerie encounter with Adams, describing how he had tried to isolate her in a model home just hours before Michelle's death. Susan Wright, another real estate agent, testified about her past interactions with Adams, highlighting his pattern of targeting female agents. The prosecution painted a clear picture of Adams' predatory behavior. They detailed how he meticulously selected his victims, all of whom worked alone and fit a similar profile. Adams's attacks were premeditated, and his actions on February 9, 1996, were part of a consistent and disturbing pattern. Michelle's family was present throughout the trial, enduring the painful recounting of the events leading to her death. The trial was a harrowing experience for them, particularly Michelle's mother, Peggy Cohen McCall, who had to be removed from the courtroom at one point for her emotional outburst. Adams appeared indifferent, even smug, during the proceedings, but his demeanor changed when the jury found him guilty on all counts. On July 14, 1997, James Van Adams was sentenced to death for the murder of Michelle Anglin. Despite multiple appeals, his conviction was upheld. Adams's final act of defiance came in 2005 when he took his own life in his prison cell, ending a tragic chapter for Michelle's family. Michelle's mother, Peggy, expressed a mix of relief and sorrow at the news, finding some solace in the end of Adams's life, which brought a semblance of closure to their enduring pain. On July 14, 1997, James Van Adams was found guilty of the brutal murder of Michelle Anglin. The jury's decision was unanimous, and Adams was sentenced to death. The verdict was a culmination of compelling evidence, including DNA matches and testimonies from witnesses like Kim Ramos and Susan Wright. Adams's behavior during the trial, marked by indifference and occasional smugness, did little to endear him to the jury or the public. Following his conviction, Adams filed multiple appeals, contesting the validity of the evidence and the fairness of his trial. However, each appeal was systematically rejected, affirming the strength of the prosecution's case and the severity of his crimes. On March 14, 2005, Adams was found dead in his prison cell, having taken his own life. This act of finality brought an end to a saga of appeals and legal battles, but it also left a complex mix of relief and unresolved grief for Michelle's loved ones. The murder of Michelle Anglin had a profound and lasting impact on her family. Her mother, Peggy Cohen McCall, was devastated by the loss of her daughter. Peggy's grief was compounded by the harrowing details of the trial and the emotional toll of seeing Michelle's killer brought to justice. Her outburst in the courtroom was a poignant reflection of her pain and longing for justice. Peggy's suffering was so intense that she eventually lost her job due to the emotional strain and the inability to focus on anything but the loss of her beloved daughter. Adding to the family's heartbreak was the death of Hudson Anglin, Michelle's husband, in 2002. Hudson, who had been deeply affected by Michelle's death, struggled to move forward with his life. His untimely death further shattered the family, leaving them to grapple with compounded grief and the lingering shadows of their tragic loss. The story of Michelle Anglin's murder is a stark reminder of the dangers faced by real estate agents and the vulnerabilities inherent in their profession. Michelle's tragic death highlighted the importance of safety measures and the need for vigilance when meeting with potential clients, especially in isolated locations. The case also underscored the impact of violent crime on families who endure a prolonged and painful journey in their quest for justice and closure. Michelle's story is a lesson in the importance of safeguarding oneself and the need for systemic changes to protect those in similar professions. It serves as a call to action for better safety protocols and a deeper awareness of the risks involved in seemingly routine tasks. As we reflect on Michelle Anglin's story, it's crucial to consider the broader implications and the steps we can take to prevent similar tragedies. Viewers are encouraged to share their thoughts and opinions on the case in the comments. By engaging in this conversation, we can collectively work towards raising awareness and advocating for enhanced safety measures for real estate agents and other vulnerable professionals. Your insights and reflections are valuable in keeping the memory of Michelle alive and ensuring that her death was not in vain.